The golden sun hung low over the hidden leaf village, casting long shadows across the training grounds where Naruto Uzumaki stood, panting heavily, his orange jumpsuit streaked with dirt and sweat. His blue eyes burned with determination as he wiped his forearm across his brow, glaring at his opponent. Across from him, bathed in the eerie glow of the rising moon, stood Sasuke Uchiha, his Sharingan spinning ominously, a smirk playing at the corner of his lips. The air between them crackled with tension, the very earth beneath their feet trembling as their chakra clashed in unseen waves. Naruto clenched his fists, his whisker-marked cheeks twitching with frustration. "You're not getting away this time, Sasuke. I'm bringing you back to Konoha, no matter what." His voice echoed across the field, raw with emotion. The last time they had fought, Sasuke had left him broken and bleeding, but Naruto had grown stronger since then. The power of the nine tails surged within him, a tempest of crimson chakra flickering around his body like flames. Sasuke scoffed, his dark hair swaying as he tilted his head. "Still spouting the same naive nonsense. The bonds you cling to mean nothing in the face of true power." His Rinnegan pulsed, the violet iris absorbing the moonlight, casting an otherworldly glow. He raised a hand, and black flames erupted from his palm, forming the shape of a massive skeletal warrior, Susanoo. The spectral armor solidified, encasing him in an indigo shell, its sword humming with deadly energy. Naruto didn't hesitate. With a burst of speed, he lunged forward, his fist wreathed in swirling wind chakra. Rasengan. The sphere of compressed energy slammed into Susanoo's ribcage, sending shockwaves rippling through the air. The ground beneath them fractured, chunks of earth hurtling into the sky. Sasuke's eyes narrowed as his Susanoo staggered, but he countered swiftly, swinging its colossal blade downward. Naruto flipped backward, narrowly avoiding the slash that carved a ravine into the earth where he had stood moments before. The clash of their power sent tremors through the landscape, trees splintering and rocks shattering under the force. Naruto landed in a crouch, his fingers weaving signs faster than the eye could follow. Shadow clone jigsaw. Dozens of clones materialized around Sasuke, each one launching a coordinated assault. Kunai flew, Rasengan spiraled, and kicks aimed for weak points, but Sasuke's Sharingan predicted every move. His Rinnegan flared as he teleported behind the real Naruto, his Chidori screeching to life in his palm. Naruto barely had time to react. The lightning blade grazed his side, sending searing pain through his ribs, but he gritted his teeth and retaliated with a spinning kick. Sasuke blocked with his forearm, the impact sending both of them skidding backward. The moon above seemed to pulse, its silvery light intensifying, casting eerie reflections in their eyes. A sudden shift in the atmosphere made them both pause. The sky darkened unnaturally, the sun and moon aligning in a rare celestial phenomenon, a chakra eclipse. The balance of natural energy twisted, and Naruto felt the nine tails chakra surge erratically within him. Sasuke's Rinnegan flickered as if reacting to the disturbance, his expression tightening. "This isn't just a coincidence," Sasuke muttered, his gaze darting between the sky and Naruto. "The eclipse is amplifying our powers. And our weaknesses." Naruto steadied himself, sensing the strange energy coursing through the air. The fox's chakra felt wilder, harder to control, but he couldn't back down now. "I don't care what's happening up there. I'm ending this." With a roar, he entered sage mode, his pupils morphing into slits, natural energy swirling around him. Orange pigmentation spread across his face as he charged again, this time with a massive Rasen Shuriken forming in his palm. Sasuke's Susanoo expanded, its wings unfurling as he took to the sky, dodging the spiraling attack. The Rasen Shuriken exploded against a distant mountainside, reducing it to rubble. "You're still too slow," Sasuke taunted, but before he could press his advantage, the eclipse reached its peak. A beam of twisted light shot down between them, splitting the battlefield in two. The ground quaked violently, fissures opening like hungry maws. Naruto and Sasuke barely maintained their footing as a shadowy figure emerged from the rift, a being cloaked in swirling chakra, its form shifting between sunlit brilliance and lunar darkness. Its voice echoed like thunder. "The vessels of sun and moon. You will be the keys to the world's rebirth." Naruto's heart pounded. This wasn't part of the plan. Sasuke's Sharingan spun faster, analyzing the intruder, but even his Rinnegan couldn't decipher its origin. The figure raised a hand, and the very air warped, pulling them toward it with irresistible force. Naruto dug his heels into the ground, his muscles straining. "What the hell is this thing?" he shouted over the roaring wind. Sasuke's Susanoo flickered as he fought against the pull. "It's using the eclipse's energy. We need to break free or we're finished." For the first time in years, their rivalry was forced to take a backseat. Survival was now the priority. Naruto met Sasuke's gaze, and without words, they reached the same conclusion: they had to work together, just this once. Naruto funneled his remaining chakra into a massive Rasengan, while Sasuke's Susanoo blade crackled with Amaterasu flames. Now, they shouted in unison, launching their attacks at the shadowy figure. The collision of their powers against the entity's barrier sent a shockwave across the land, the Eclipse's light flickering as if struggling to maintain its hold. But the battle was far from over. The figure's laughter echoed ominously as the sky itself seemed to fracture. The true conflict had only just begun. The battlefield trembled as Naruto's golden chakra clashed violently against the eerie glow of the chakra eclipse. The sky split between the burning radiance of the sun and the cold luminescence of the moon. Around him, the remnants of the allied shinobi forces struggled to hold their ground, their breaths ragged, their bodies pushed beyond exhaustion. Across the shattered terrain, Sasuke's Rinnegan flickered with dark intensity, his Susanoo skeletal fingers tightening around the hilt of a Chokudo crackling with Amaterasu flames. "This isn't just about us anymore," Naruto growled, his voice strained but unwavering. "That eclipse is messing with everyone's chakra. If we don't end this now, it'll consume everything." Sasuke didn't answer, his gaze locked onto the shifting celestial phenomenon above. The eclipse pulsed like a living thing, its energy warping the battlefield, distorting gravity in erratic waves. A sudden surge of power rippled through the air, and the ground beneath them heaved violently. Naruto barely had time to react as a monstrous figure erupted from the earth, an ancient entity, its body woven from the very essence of the eclipse, its form shifting between solar flares and lunar shadows. "So, this is what they were hiding," Sasuke muttered, his Sharingan dissecting the creature's movements. "It's feeding off the imbalance." Without hesitation, Naruto lunged forward, his Kurama avatar roaring to life as 9 massive tails lashed out, each one coated in swirling wind-style chakra. The beast countered with a whip-like tendril of pure eclipse energy, slicing through the air with a screech. Naruto twisted mid-air, barely avoiding the strike, but the sheer force of its passage sent shockwaves through his chakra cloak. "Damn it, this thing's fast," he hissed, skidding backward. Sasuke's Susanoo shot forward, its skeletal wings flaring as it drove its blade into the creature's side. Black flames erupted on impact, but the beast merely absorbed them, its body flickering like a dying star. "TCH. It adapts," Sasuke spat, leaping back as a retaliatory blast of condensed moonlight nearly sheared through his armored form. The two shinobi exchanged a glance, no words needed. They had fought together too long. Naruto summoned a barrage of shadow clones, each one weaving hand signs in perfect sync. Wind style, Rasen Shuriken. The spiraling discs of chakra screamed through the air, converging on the eclipse beast from all angles. At the same time, Sasuke's left eye pulsed, his Amaterasu flames twisting into a searing lance. The combined assault struck true, detonating in a cataclysmic explosion that sent shockwaves rippling for miles. For a moment, it seemed like victory, until the smoke cleared, revealing the creature reforming itself, its body now shimmering with stolen energy. Naruto's fists clenched. "It's using our attacks against us." The realization hit hard, every technique they unleashed only made the beast stronger. Sasuke's jaw tightened. "Then we don't give it a chance to adapt." His Rinnegan flared, and in an instant, he swapped places with one of Naruto's clones, appearing directly above the beast. His sword came down in a blinding arc, infused with lightning chakra so dense it crackled like a storm. The blade carved deep, but the wound sealed almost instantly. The Eclipse entity retaliated with a devastating shockwave, its power magnified by their own attacks. Naruto barely managed to raise a chakra shield in time, but the impact sent him crashing through a cliffside, his body screaming in protest. Gritting his teeth, he forced himself up, his chakra flickering erratically under the Eclipse's influence. "No way. Am I losing Kurama's power?" Panic clawed at him, but he shoved it down. If chakra wasn't the answer, then what? Across the battlefield, Sasuke was faring no better. His movements, usually flawless, were sluggish, his Rinnegan's abilities straining under the Eclipse's distortion. The beast loomed over him, its maw opening to unleash a concentrated beam of solar lunar energy. Sasuke braced, until a blur of orange intercepted the blast. Naruto stood between them, his body engulfed in a raw, unstable surge of chakra, his eyes blazing with determination. "I've got you, team." The beam collided with Naruto's outstretched palms, the force driving him backward, his feet carving trenches into the earth. His muscles burned, his veins alight with agony, but he refused to yield. Sasuke's eyes widened. Naruto wasn't just tanking the attack. He was absorbing it. "You idiot. Sasuke snarled, but even as he said it, he understood. Naruto wasn't relying on Kurama anymore. He was channeling the Eclipse's own energy, turning its power against it. With a roar, Naruto redirected the beam skyward, splitting the heavens. The Eclipse shuddered, its balance disrupted. The beast screeched, its form destabilizing. "Now, Sasuke," Naruto shouted. Sasuke didn't need to be told twice. His Rinnegan whirled, his Susanoo expanding into its final form, a colossal warrior of violet chakra. In its hand, a sword forged from every ounce of his remaining power. He swung, not at the beast, but at the Eclipse itself. The blade connected, and for a heartbeat, time seemed to stop. Then, the sky cracked. The chakra eclipse shattered like glass, its fragments raining down in a storm of light and shadow. The beast let out one final, ear-splitting wail before dissolving into nothingness. The battlefield fell silent, save for the ragged breaths of the two shinobi. Naruto collapsed to his knees, his body spent. Sasuke wasn't far behind, his Susanoo flickering out of existence. But it wasn't over. The remnants of the eclipse swirled ominously, coalescing into a single, pulsing orb of energy. A voice, ancient and hollow, echoed across the wasteland. "You have only delayed the inevitable." Naruto forced himself to stand, his fists trembling but still clenched. "Then we'll keep fighting," he growled. "Until there's nothing left to fight." Sasuke smirked, "Despite everything. TCH. Still as stubborn as ever." The orb pulsed, and the final battle began. The sky split in two, one half swallowed by an inky black eclipse, the other blazing with the sun's furious glow. Naruto stood at the center, his chakra flickering between golden light and shadow as the opposing forces of the moon and sun clashed around him. His opponent, the rogue sage Ryujin, hovered above, his body wreathed in silver lunar energy, his eyes burning with cold resolve. "This ends now, Uzumaki," Ryujin hissed, his voice echoing like a distant storm. "The world will drown in eternal night." Naruto's fists clenched, his knuckles white. He could feel the weight of every battle leading to this moment, the shattered alliances, the fallen comrades, the desperate hope of a world teetering on annihilation. Kurama's voice growled in his mind, "We don't have much time. His eclipse is draining our chakra." Naruto gritted his teeth. "Then we hit harder." With a roar, he launched forward, his body a blur of orange and gold. Ryujin's smirk vanished as Naruto's fist connected with his jaw, the impact sending shockwaves through the air. But the sage recovered instantly, countering with a whip of lunar chakra that slashed across Naruto's chest, sending him skidding back. Blood dripped onto the cracked earth, but Naruto barely felt it. His focus was absolute. Ryujin raised his hands, summoning a massive orb of condensed moonlight. "Behold the end of your sun," he declared, hurling it downward. Naruto crossed his arms, channeling Kurama's full power into a swirling barrier. The collision was deafening, light and darkness warping reality itself, the ground beneath them splintering into a crater. Naruto's muscles screamed in protest, his chakra reserves dwindling. "He's too strong," Kurama admitted, his voice strained. But Naruto refused to yield. Memories flashed, his father's sacrifice, Sasuke's rivalry turned to brotherhood, Hinata's unwavering faith. "No," he growled. "I'm not done yet." With a final surge, he shattered the orb, the backlash sending Ryujin stumbling. The sage's eyes widened. "Impossible." Naruto didn't give him time to recover. He weaved hand signs faster than thought, summoning 1,000 shadow clones, each one glowing with the last remnants of his chakra. Rasengan barrage. The clones descended like a storm, their attacks relentless. Ryujin blocked, dodged, countered, but the sheer force overwhelmed him. One Rasengan struck his ribs, another his shoulder, each hit chipping away at his lunar armor. Then, in a flash, Naruto's true form appeared above him, a colossal Rasen shuriken spinning in his palm. "This is for everyone you've hurt," he shouted, driving it downward. The explosion of wind and light engulfed Ryujin, his screams lost in the maelstrom. The eclipse above wavered, cracks of sunlight piercing through. When the dust settled, Ryujin lay broken, his power fading. The eclipse shattered, the sun reclaiming the sky. Naruto collapsed to one knee, gasping. It was over. The aftermath was slow to settle. Villages once shrouded in unnatural night now basked in warmth. Allies emerged from hiding, their faces etched with relief. Sasuke appeared at Naruto's side, his Sharingan dimming. "You never know when to quit," he muttered, but there was pride in his tone. Naruto grinned weakly. "Guess not." Ryujin, barely conscious, whispered, "Why? Fight so hard?" Naruto met his gaze. Because the sun always rises. And with that, the world began to heal. The balance between day and night restored, the future uncertain but bright. Naruto had faced the eclipse, and the dawn was his answer.